This is the smell of the leftover tuna fish sandwich you left in your lunchbox over the weekend in a wimpy trash bag.
Wimpy, wimpy, wimpy!
Blech! And this is the smell of that same sandwich in a hefty, ultra-strong trash bag.
Hefty, hefty, hefty!
Ah, smell the difference? Hefty Ultra Strong has Arm & Hammer with continuous odor control, so no matter what's inside your trash, you can stay one step ahead of stinky. And for bigger jobs, try the superior strength of Hefty Large Black Bags.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of Yeah, We Read It, the podcast where me and my best friend are rereading the books from our past and reliving them as 20-somethings living in Chicago. My name is Laura Petro, and I'm one of your hosts.
And my name is Meggie Gates, and I'm your other host.
And boy, we are on book 13 of Lacey Harrison's best-selling The Clique series.
It is inspiring and humbling we have made it this far, and we only have one more to go.
Oh, because we've been just talking about this. Like, when we were younger, we grew out of this series before the series was finished. Like, yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I believe when I looked these up that this one or the next one was written in 2011. So yeah, I was at the end of high school.
In high school, I was not reading Clique anymore. I was reading Hunger Games, and I think I was still reading Gossip Girl because there was a lot of sex scenes in Gossip Girl.
Exactly. Our brains had developed a tad bit more.
Exactly. We didn't want to hear about 8th grade anymore. We wanted new things.
Yes.
Yeah. Alcohol. And
I guess none of
boyfriends?
Boyfriends? Maybe. Scary.
But wow, okay, so also last episode, I introduced a fan theory where I had thought that in book 10, Massie drowned in a pool, and then book 11, now book 12, was basically like a dream of her being on life support. And I think that will hold true as we discuss this.
Yeah,
book.
you posed a interesting proposition before this too, that this one really capitalizes on all of her fears.
See, this book literally feels like Massie's just constantly stuck in a night. Like this is what Massie's nightmares look like.
Exactly. When I read people being abducted by aliens, maybe that's my theory, that she otherwise could have been abducted by aliens. Yours is she's in a coma.
Yep.
Mine is that she's abducted by aliens.
And I'm excited for your receipts on them.
Perfect. And I will think of them as we go over My Little Phony.
All right, My Little Phony, book 13. Let's dive in. Opening line just says, I love getting stoned. And that's supposed to be like a cute thing because they're getting hot stone massages on this little snow day that they're having.
Yep. There's a random masseuse there who they're like, this person's not Russian. She's just putting on a Russian accent to be cool.
And I love that they're all snowed in, but it's like, how did this masseuse get there?
I don't know. No one gives the background. How many inches? Is there ice? A real snowstorm, like the ones that we experience in Iowa, you would be frozen outside.
Exactly. So we don't know. Again, a lot of things in this book we don't get the full details on.
No.
And I think a lot of things just kind of happen, and I have so many questions, but then we're already on to the next event.
Exactly. So it's pretty in par with the books we have read so far.
Yeah, but almost more so.
Yeah, I think this one was easily the most straightforward in the fact that there were more lists and more puns, which we loved. We were like, okay, Lacey just said fuck it.
I feel like she was getting to the end of her series and pulled out her list of puns, being like, shoot, I didn't get to include these. So instead, she just incorporated the actual just list printed in the book.
Like Megan Amram on The Good Place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And I talked to you about this because I had started reading this book before you.
Mm-hmm.
The first 20 pages are really confusing.
Yeah.
Because it's them and they're getting hot stone massages and Claire's playing snowballs with her new 9th grade friends. Mm-hmm. And then Massie calls Todd and then puts gum in his hair and then shaves off his whole head. Mm-hmm. And then it's there's this weird, it's this whole lice thing that they all keep talking about lice, but it's never clear if any of them actually have lice.
Yeah, I think
I was so confused.
From the offset, I thought that the end goal was to get Claire to shave her head.
Yeah.
Because Claire's hair is alluded to probably the most out of the girls. I always pictured her with very cute hair. So I was like, uh-oh, that's her kryptonite.
Exactly. And then it doesn't turn into that.
No.
It basically just turns into Massie tells Lane that Todd has lice. and that Claire was wearing the same hat he was, so she obviously has lice now. And then for some reason her 9th grade friends are just like, that's true, we're not even gonna stay here anymore and let you talk about it. We're just not gonna be friends with you anymore. And I was like, that was weird.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed with this one though, because this is the most fluid book. It really does what goes around comes around, because it starts with lice and it ends up with an infestation of bed bugs.
Yeah.
So, really, I must applaud Lacey. I think My Little Phony is the most concise.
I agree. I feel like this, while things weirdly do just happen, I feel like this book is the most to the point.
Yeah.
But then we also, meanwhile all of this is happening, Massie is texting Landon and very afraid at the idea of lip kissing him.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of times you've been trying to pitch that Massie is a lesbian, I think this book really captures that argument.
Oh, for sure.
So much.
The last one set it up to knock this one out of the park, because I swear to God, there was a page in the last book of her calling that one girl hot. And then she is just so stressed out about Landon, she just doesn't text him. And she has she implements a lot of things that my girlfriend did when she was in the closet in middle school, which I will get to.
I know. It reminds me of like things I've heard from like my friends before like they came out, where it was like, it wasn't that she didn't like Landon, but the idea of lip kissing him just threw her off kilter.
I really do love that she will not text Landon back about a very simple request. Come over for my birthday, bring your dog, and all of her friends grab her phone and send the horniest text.
Yeah, they were just joking around and then, oops, it accidentally sends.
Have your cake and eat it too off my lips. First of all, cake is associated with ass, typically modern day. So
Meggie, they didn't eat ass in 2008. That wasn't until the 2010s.
I don't know. It kind of sounds like Dylan is wanting Massie's salad tossed and to get eaten lips. Which pair?
But yeah, again, the weird thing is Landon gets all these kooky ass texts, and then he just goes, is that a yes? Like,
yeah,
he goes, you read my mind. And it's just like, Landon isn't a real person. Like, I'm positive Landon exists in Massie's head only.
I love that when you flashed that, I saw your note, and what you had written was 0 to 100.
Yeah, it went 0 to 60 real quick, and I just had to write that down.
That is so funny. So, meanwhile, Claire's little wholesome sleepover is happening at the same time. They're eating marshmallows, graham crackers, Hershey's,
and they're talking about dating.
Yes, and they're talking about dating because Kara and Sid are, as we said before, 9th graders, and Kara is dating Doug, I believe?
Yes.
Unless I made that name up, which is great. His name's going to be Doug now.
I think it is Doug.
And they lip kiss a lot, so they give Lane and Claire some guidelines on kissing, which is very cute. And they all rhyme, which is why we think Lacey really just saved the best for last.
And also, the importance of this scene is Claire does a little roast on Lane, and then she immediately feels bad because she's like, that borderline on fatphobic. And it was just like, so much of this series has just been fatphobic, and now we're finally going to address what is and isn't fatphobic.
Well, this one is 2011. They were like, all right, we got to make up for the 2005 books. Oops. I do enjoy in their guidelines, my favorite, I was like, yeah, this makes sense. If he doesn't think you're funny, the boy ain't money. That makes sense. That's my biggest. I'm like, okay, you need to find me funny.
There's just so many weird. If he's a bad kisser, find your inner disser. Like, there's some of these are stretches.
That is true. Also, acting like a mute is so not cute. Come on, he can be shy. I love shy boys.
Also, if he has no muscle, time to hustle. Like.
No.
You love a scrawny boy.
Exactly. If I know that I can probably win in a fight, that's why I dated all of my last boyfriends.
See, but we also have to take all of Kara's advice with a grain of salt, because she explicitly does say, jealousy is so healthy in a relationship. When jealousy dies, the passion dies.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, and it's just like, no, jealousy is not good in a relationship.
They are like 16 and they are driven solely by being horny.
Hormones are...
I don't know, anger and sex is the same kind of hot.
But anyway, there's this whole like lice bit, and then Sid and Kara are like, peace out, bye, and then we just never hear from them again.
Do they not come back for like Claire's inauguration later on?
No, they're not there.
Oh.
Because they don't go to OCD, remember?
Oh, yeah, I guess. So
but we'll get to that.
Yep, they leave because Massie's like, heads up, Claire, don't wear the blue hat. Todd has lice because I.
And then I was like, they're like, we have to leave, and I was like, but everyone knows shampoo gets rid of lice, like, right? Like, we all know that it goes away pretty easily. I
assumed. I just watched the Schitt's Creek episode where he had to comb the lice out of her hair, so you must have to do that.
Well, you do the shampoo and then it kills all of them, and then you comb them out.
That's crazy. Yeah. Are they like squirming around?
I don't know. I've never had lice.
I've never either.
This is why we're best friends.
I honestly think we're an anomaly because when I told my girlfriend Anna that, she was shocked.
She had lice?
I think so.
I don't think my boyfriend did. Maybe I'll ask him tonight.
It was such a big thing in kindergarten. Did they preach lice to you?
Well, they did, and we only had I think a couple of lice scares, but I went to pretty big schools, so yeah, it was always taken care of. Yeah. Pretty easily.
A fun, random fact, that last year a big theater in Chicago had a lice outbreak, and may I remind you all, we are 30-year-olds.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Anyway, let's move on to, something I do want to say is, there, then is this part where, this is going to be such a low thing, and then we can move on. Mm-hmm. There's a part where, Cam is hanging out with Lane and Claire, and they're at, a candy shop.
I love this throuple.
And they talk about his beanie and how his blonde tufts of hair are sticking out from it. He has black hair!
I thought I was going crazy.
I'm so mad because this happened a couple books ago where they said he had caramel hair, and I was like, he doesn't have brown hair, right?
He's gaslighting us. I thought he had black hair growing up the whole time, and then I thought it was blonde this whole time.
Exactly.
I don't know.
I thought he had blonde hair probably because they changed it.
Oh my god, I don't know. That did drive me crazy too.
There's so many things in this book. Yeah, there's so many continuity errors now as we get later in this series that it has to exist only in Massie's dream state.
You know what? I like that. That is probably true because she also did misspell her own name last time. She said Massie with no I. I do love that in this new candy store where it's $15 a pound, there's just one kid randomly vomiting in the corner.
And everyone's just, unfazed by it. They're like, that's normal.
That was a cute little moment in there.
And then meanwhile, Massie's still way too nervous to kiss this boy.
Yeah, and this is when, prior to this, Claire decides to get revenge. Cam is like,
don't.
No. And at the same time, Massie is in her room listening to her confidence tape because, I guess that's what you do when you're in 8th grade.
Yeah, and, the tape doesn't work. But then we immediately cut to their big revenge plan. And so Lane and Claire go to a pet store, a reptile store.
Yeah.
Again, many details are not fully explained in this book. They were at a store, the Karma Chameleon Reptile and Insect Emporium, and I was like, I don't think you could. I don't know how many insects you can buy. That's where my train of thought is going because they buy 2 crickets, 2 centipedes, and some other like a beetle, and
there would not be that big of a variety at a pet store.
Yeah.
It would just be all crickets because those are what snakes eat. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like you can buy centipedes at a pet store.
I don't know, but this is really where Lacey smashes all of her puns in here. Straight up, one whole page just says a T-shirt of Christmas T-shirts. All I iguana for Christmas is you.
Yeah.
Snake me out to the ball game and gecko my eggo.
There's a lot.
That one does not rhyme. Wait a second.
No, it does not. Yeah, there's a lot of lists in this book. A lot of puns. Claire's kind of nervous about this though, and as she's walking the aisles with Lane and this guy that's leading them to the bugs, she imagines that all the frogs are talking to her. But then immediately just the other half of her brain is I'm just going to think about all of the mean things Massie have done to me. So then we spend 4 pages listing out all of the mean things that Massie has done to Claire over these past 13 books.
Some of these were so insane that I genuinely laughed out loud.
And some of these things we saw happen as we were reading them, and then some things we didn't see in real time.
Okay, this one did not happen, because I swear she was in the backseat, but she left me in the trunk of the Range Rover on the first day of summer break.
That didn't happen. There is one where she says she called me my eyebrows the Bush Twins when I had to wear fake eyebrows for Dial L, but she didn't have to wear fake eyebrows for Dial L. She wore them for the audition that she was supposed to get after Dial L, and that was, again, another continuity error that makes me think this entire thing exists only in Massie's dreamlike state.
Exactly. The director was like, you don't need bushy eyebrows. You're ugly enough. enough.
She replaced my bag of licorice whips with red rubber bands.
She said my brown sweatshirt looked like a hooded poo. That's pretty incredible.
She recommended that I walk around with weights on my legs to prevent cankles because she thinks my mom has them.
She wouldn't speak. Okay, this is shit I would do. She wouldn't speak to me for 3 days when I decided to hang out with Cam instead of watch Gossip Girl with her. I can't be mad at Massie for that. I do that.
That's so funny. She threw out my favorite pants on Earth Day as a part of the Beautify Our Planet campaign.
She told me my favorite sweater was making Bean sick because Bean was allergic to ugly.
She threw salmon at me.
Straight up, all of these hit. These are so good.
It's so funny. I feel like this was the list of, like, possible plot points that Lacey, like, had, and then she just kind of threw them all in there anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I love all of them. I love she locked me out of my own room when I didn't vote for her in the Miss Kiss pageant. They're all so fun. I mean, they're bad, but
they're bad, but they're hysterical because, again, this book is insane. They buy a bunch of bugs, and
meanwhile, in another part of the mall, this is when Massie has lost it because they are going to put the bugs in her room at night, whatever. Massie brings Kristen to a French vampire movie.
Oh my god, I completely forgot about
this.
That
hurt me. So she can write down all these kissing tips and also film the movie. She's like, Kristen, it is extra credit for our French class. Kristen's like, okay. And she sees this couple nearby and she's like, okay, they're mediocrely hot enough that I will look at them and take notes on them. And she is shocked that they are using tongue.
The way they wrote, like, this kiss reminded me of this one guy I made out with who I went on a Hinge date with once. Because he would stick his tongue out before you guys were even kissing, and it was the most uncomfortable thing ever.
Wait, so you guys weren't even, like, touching
Yeah,
faces?
he would be maybe, like, half an inch away from my face, and his tongue was, like, out ready to go in, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Oh my god,
He was older than me. He was a terrible kisser. It was so weird.
That is gross.
Didn't go on a second date with him.
But she ultimately gets kicked out by the usher because the couple turns around and Massie's like, "Oh, it's taking too long to write down everything. I also brought my dog to this movie."
I know. I wrote down Massie has mom energy during this whole scene because it's like she's brought her dog, she's videotaping people, she's talking through this movie, and this guy's like, "Ma'am, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave," and she's like, "No, I'm fine where I am."
I know. Oh my gosh. And then he's like, "Well, bootlegging is legal," and she's like, "Bootleg jeans? I don't think so."
Oh my god. And I was just like, Massie, you're gonna...
Yeah, so she gets kicked out because she's filming, but also this couple is like, "Why are you filming us?" Which, yeah, TikTok doesn't exist. Where's she's gonna put it?
It took her this, and also it has to be noted that it took her this entire movie to come to the conclusion that maybe all kissing is the same. Exactly. Like, it doesn't matter that Landon's a year older than me. It's like, no shit.
Everyone has different kissing styles.
Exactly.
And you just kind of talk about it. You're like, what do you like? And then it's not...
It's so fucking funny.
But on the sky high, riding the train of embarrassment, the next day she goes to Landon's for his birthday.
She's in her outfit.
Which is... she just wants to fuck. Because this outfit was like...
She was wearing, like... bright pink heels, and I was like, I want bright pink heels.
Bright pink heels, a BCG like corset,
yeah,
like a body corset. I was like, this is someone who how I would dress if I was like, it's lingerie night.
We're gonna fuck.
Yeah,
but they don't fuck because they are not of age, and we do not promote underage sex on this podcast.
We do not condone it. But if anyone wants to sponsor us,
if anybody wants to sponsor us,
we are looking for advertisers.
Make sure to rate and review our podcast 5 stars.
And she goes up to his room.
And she throws open the door, and I'm obsessed with Massie's just like, I have to be an alpha in this moment. Let's do this.
Yeah, this is the most confident we've seen her in a few months.
And exactly, and so she throws open the door, he's at his computer, and then she spins him around in the computer chair.
Exactly, and he stops right on time. It's not like he keeps spinning, ladies and gentlemen. It's not like he's a villain in a James Bond movie.
Choreographed.
And she kisses him, but he's stone cold.
And then she finally opens her eyes and see that his eyes are, wide, staring at her, which, what a horrible thing to look up to when you're kissing somebody. The only worst thing that I will counter to happen when you're kissing is if you're kissing a guy and he goes, no, stop, and then you pull up and then his face is just covered in blood because his nose has started bleeding, which has happened to me before.
Happened to you?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say makeup because in 2 episodes ago, Matt James on The Bachelor kissed someone and he is black and he moved away and all of her makeup was on his face.
No, you see, it's worse if it's blood.
That's happened to you.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It's wild because I was like, and I like, it was one of those things that I suddenly was like, oh my god, did I do something to this guy?
Did I
punch him with my nose? Like, and he was like, no, I just get really bad nosebleeds. And I was like, okay, cool.
He's like, no, when I get turned on, I just bleed a lot.
And I was like, oh my god, same. Okay, but anyway, Massey's like, oh my god, this guy is not interested that I'm kissing him. And then we hear, and who is this, dear? And he's video chatting his grandparents.
And his grandma's like, I thought you said she was a nice lady.
Oh my, she sure is fast.
Yeah, so grandma's like, get rid of this horny little slut, Landon, and Landon throws her out the second story.
No, they can't even get that far, because Massie just fucking, as Massie does, Massie is not out of fight or flight, Massie's constantly flight.
Yeah, similar to the last book where Landon's like, I'll forgive you for all this crazy shit. She just turns on her heels and walks out the door. And leaves Bean there.
And she's like, I'll have Isaac pick him up later. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Can she go anywhere without her pug?
Not lately. Like, she used to be fine without him, but now it's like, I feel like as we've gotten later in the series, he's always has to be there.
Being walked so service dogs everywhere could run.
Oh, that's so cute.
That actually is kind of sweet.
And now, meanwhile, at the Block Estate,
yes,
Claire and Lane are rigging a ladder to go up to Massie's second floor window. Mm-hmm. And the thing that pisses me off about this is, like, Lane gets to the top of the ladder and the window's locked. And so Claire's like, oh, I think I know the code. I'll just go in through the front to let you in. And I was like, why wasn't that plan A?
I don't know. But here we learn two very important things. When Lane sneezes, she makes people say good job.
Yeah.
Instead of bless you. And the code to the block house is 1129, which is the date Massie officially became a Glossip Girl member.
Okay, but what would that be? 2011? Well, no, because that's not a date. That makes sense.
12th, 2009, right?
Well, no, 1/1 is November. Maybe it's November 2nd, 2009.
Okay, well
we don't know.
Agree on the year.
Yeah.
2009.
Okay, because I was so confused. I was like, what is the year in this? Who knows? But anyway, Claire gets in, lets Lane in through the window. They put bugs in her duvet.
Yep. Claire almost knocks over Massie's mannequin, the Massie-kin where Massie was previously practicing kissing.
Yep.
On it.
And
a headless figure.
And they get out just in time.
So Massie comes home. Oh, she's so upset because Landon's grandma and grandpas are trying her best. Yeah. And she makes herself feel better by convincing herself why her and Landon's kiss was similar to a list of famous kisses we will get to later. And then she finds the bugs, and it's just 3 pages of screaming.
Yeah, and she does call this whole ordeal the Apocalypse, with L-I-P-S and the lips part, and I thought that should have been the name of the book.
Oh.
Rather than My Little Phony, because My Little Phony doesn't make sense. But if you call this book Apocalypse now,
yeah,
that would make way more sense.
Oh, that is good.
Thank you.
There's an album I like called Apocalyptic, so I guess it caught
Gossip Girl.
Gossip Girl.
Okay, and then Massie's asleep, and then she thinks Bean is in her bed, and then she opens up her duvet, and there's 3 pages of screaming.
Yep. At one point, Anna, my girlfriend, looks over at me and she's like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "I don't know, but I have to read
it's
every
Morse
page."
code.
It's Morse code. We're trying to figure it out.
Yeah. So we kid you not, there's 3 pages of just ah.
And Claire can hear this because it's emphasized that she can hear it, and she's G-chatting Lane, and she feels kind of bad, but not really. And
exactly.
She shouldn't feel bad.
And yeah, because it's like Massie needed what was coming to her.
So the next morning, Massie is at school and she's depressed and she's scratching every inch of her body. Like, nothing happened, but you know when you, like, feel like
bugs are crawling on you. And Massie doesn't like bugs.
And Isaac picked up Bean from Landon with a note, text me, which, are they divorced parents fighting? It literally feels like they have joint custody of 2 dogs.
Yeah, it's weird. And Massie, of course, being Massie, just doesn't talk to Landon at all.
No.
She's jumped to a conclusion, and she's just going to ignore him.
And her friends feel bad for her. They keep texting her, but they walk really far behind her because, again, lice.
Yeah.
They think that Massie probably has lice or bed bugs. And this really pisses Massie off. She goes home alone to find her home is being fumigated.
And this is my favorite part in the book, that her parents are like, we're going to go to the Bahamas for a week, and we're so sorry. We didn't get a chance to grab anything you own.
Oh my god, I know. They really said,
like,
fuck you.
They literally said, like, oh, we really just took care of our shit, but we're sorry you couldn't get anything before the fumigators came.
And she has a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm
like, she doesn't even
surprised.
get any clothes, like,
no.
or like her toothbrush, and I'm just like, that's so sad.
But you know, she gets to, quote, bunk in the guest house with her pal Claire, because William and Kendra just don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, and then Massie goes to the guest house, and boy, is she a bitch.
Oh my god, she is so mean. Not only to Claire, but her entire family.
She's such a brat. She just is like, this house is mine, and just...
Could you imagine being mean to someone else's parents? I would never.
You can't.
I would be so scared.
Why would I want to piss off somebody else's parents? I want everybody to love me.
Exactly. Like,
especially parents.
I'll piss off my own parents, whatever.
Exactly.
But, you know, that comes with the territory.
Yeah, and then, this is like, Massie's just like losing it for starting now, because then she has to go to the mall to get new clothes, and she's made lists for Alicia, Kristen, and Dylan to go find things for her to save her time.
It's all pretty much muted colors.
And Massie at one point asks Kristen to go see if they have that couch pattern in a top, and Kristen's like, Massie, they don't, and she starts shouting Nike at her anytime she tries to interrupt her, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
It was so bizarre.
I view this as a scene at the end of Avatar: The Last Airbender where Azula is just cutting her own hair and is going crazy. But Massie goes to the counter with all of her clothes and is like, perfect, I'll try the rest on at home. And her card is declined in a turning point.
And again, big mom energy for Massie as she keeps insisting that the clerk is in the wrong. And,
exactly.
Yeah.
And she's like, fine, PC, buy at least $10,000 worth of clothes for me. Dylan can't because she spent her allowance on Snow Day purchasing the entire mall.
And Alicia has a deal with her parents that if she doesn't spend from Thanksgiving to Christmas, they'll take her to Spain.
And Kristen's poor.
And
as we all know.
Page 119. Don't look at me, Kristen frowned. I'm poor.
She knows her place.
She knows her place.
And they get thrown out of the store, which is so embarrassing because Massie is throwing a tantrum. And, like, parents behind her with their even-keel kids, I mean, at the time, are like, this is embarrassing.
It's embarrassing.
It is really embarrassing.
And then Massie's throwing the sleepover at the guest house. And...
Yep.
Yeah, and this is another big turning point for Claire and Lane's revenge, because they decide it's time for a new Claire, which is bad wordplay. I liked the other word they came up with first, but I don't remember what it was.
It is, and they're upset because, exactly, like you said, Massie is having the PC sleepover at Claire's, isn't inviting Claire, which, I mean, I guess it is, like, her guest house, whatever, but it's, like, making fun of all the snacks that Julie made. Her mom, which is like she's putting in like effort to make Massie feel comfortable. Yeah, that's really shitty.
Yeah, and they make a manifesto so that to dawn this new era where Massie isn't such a leader anymore. So it's weird. It's a weird list.
It is, but essentially it's we're gonna stand up with each other and be good friends to each other. Yeah. I did love the line, "Thou shalt not think less of me for being middle class."
That's a good one. That's honestly, like, that sums up pretty much the whole list.
Exactly. I mean, this is like, I would take this even now. Yeah. And to like, "Thou shalt not turn my friends against me during a fight." That is a shitty feeling.
That's a shitty feeling.
So we're ready for this new Clara. Meanwhile, Massie, the PC comes over, and Massie turns her friends away pretty fucking fast. This is back to back the meanest I've ever seen her.
Yeah, and before the pretty committee gets there, I do have to call out that Todd is playing video games, and he keeps going, bald head high five! And just slapping his head as hard as he possibly can.
It is really funny.
It's so
and
funny.
Also, at this time, Claire's like, Todd, can you please stop playing Mario Kart? And Todd is like, why, are you jealous? Princess Peach is no competition for you, baby. And I loved that.
Oh,
I thought
it's
that was
so fucking funny. But yeah, Massie gets rid of her friends pretty quickly because she asks them, bring like all of the clothes I've lent you over this past like year. There has to be something in there. And then Massie just starts being like, I can't wear these, you stretch them out. And Alicia, your boobs made a dent in this shirt. And it's truly the meanest we've seen Massie this entire time. And Massie's done some mean things.
Yeah, she just makes fun of everyone's body. She calls Kristen's boyish, like you said.
Yeah.
Dylan stretched out her yoga pants, and they just leave. They're like, we're not putting up with this. And yeah, good fucking riddance.
Yeah, and then the next day, there's a rally for the new Clara, and I was like, holy shit, they put this together fast.
Yeah, it straight up sounds like she is campaigning for office.
Like, it's impressive. Like, the amount of people that showed up, that they have a space for it, there's refreshments, there's...
And Claire comes out waving, like a homecoming queen
they
to
throw
Jay-Z's
They
off
throw
that.
candy to people.
It is pretty fun.
And everybody's, like, chanting in unison by the end of it. Like, it's a big deal.
Yep, and they have this rallying cry, which if they see each other in the halls at OCD, they hold up a C with their hand followed by a peace sign, which is either like, I got your back, or like, please help me, Massie is bullying me in the halls.
Yeah, again, weird, but impressive.
Someone even said they were going to cover this in the school newspaper, which, that's kind of fun, I guess.
That's kind of
cool.
fun, sure.
So, the next morning, or the next day, everyone's wearing sweats to school, and before school, Claire's parents make them all breakfast, which is very sweet, and Massie is being such a bitch.
Yeah, Massie's like, what the fuck is going on?
She says Todd's head looks like a cherry lollipop, and that Santa isn't real, which really upsets Julie, because she's trying to make Todd think that Santa is real.
Yeah, like, Massie's, again, just being a big old bitch.
And she doesn't have any clothes, so Julie's like, well, Massie, you can borrow some of Claire's. Claire takes away all of the clothes that Massie ever lent her and just leaves her overalls hanging in the closet.
The ones that she wore the first day at Westchester in, like, the first book. Except in this book, they say they were Oshkosh Bagosh overalls, and I was like, I'm pretty sure they were Gap overalls in the first book, which is another continuity error. But who's counting them?
She's another sign she's in a coma. And the next day at school, Corey, Strawberry, Lane, and Claire are sitting at table 18, and everyone's, like, obsessed with Claire.
Yeah, and Massie has taken a bad sushi day, so, like, they can really, like, you know, get this plan in motion. And I will say, the most impressive plan about this is Lane has launched a bus plan to reduce carbon emissions.
Yes!
So Lane had launched an eco over ego campaign to reduce OCD's carbon footprint. She wanted to revamp the whole bus experience by promising to provide top 100 mixes to be played during the ride. She's going to petition the school board to map out newly planned bus routes that would take them past the boys' school. Yeah, and it was just like, oh, that's cool.
That did rule, and some of them were like, we'll even try to take it on the weekends. And I was like, that's awesome. That was really nice. And meanwhile, while the girls are sitting at the PC's table, Kristen, Dylan, and Alicia approach them, and they don't win. They, throw Corey's food on the ground, but everyone stands up to them, and they are scared, which is awesome.
And it gets so vapid and materialistic, because, like, I feel like Alicia, Dylan, and Kristen have been boiled down to, like, these very 2D characters.
Yeah.
Like, this past book, and this one especially, where it's, like, all they do is, like, they spray bad perfume on them, and they're, like, in tears. And it's just like, this is so weird.
That is true.
Yeah.
It feels like they're very faceless people, and that is compounded by the fact that their 9th grade crushes also feel like they're no one. I miss the old boys, not really,
and the important thing is, like, during this, when they finally, like, overpower Alicia, Kristen, and Dylan, and they're all chanting in, like, the lunchroom, at the end of this entire description of the scene, it says, and Corey, aka the croissant, because of her curved posture, stood up straight for the very first time.
Wow, I love this Forrest Gump moment for her.
And I was like, okay, we're there, let's go.
At home, meanwhile, Massie is watching, like, All My Children, because that's all that's ever on
and,
during
like,
the day.
everything she turns on TV is, like, a direct metaphor to what she's going through.
And the PC is texting her that the cafeteria is insane. The LBRs are chanting, let's be real, instead of losers beyond repair.
Yeah.
And Massie's like, I have to take Bean out, because Bean really needs to pee. And Bean runs off, and lo and behold, runs into Landon.
Yeah, Landon is actually homesick today. And Bean has run Massie all the way to Landon because, of course...
Yeah,
Weird. This is, like, we get really trippy here.
In my mind, I could not visualize it past, like, Bean runs up a driveway, turns left, and he's just her next-door neighbor.
No, because I picture them, like, running through, like, blocks and blocks of streets.
Yeah, well, I always thought he lived farther, but for this one, I was like, oh... And she's there.
Yeah, maybe he lives just one street over. But then the dogs, in their excitement,
do that thing where they intertwine.
They start doing circles around them, so they have to go closer and closer together. And I was just like, this is so stupid. This is so unrealistic.
Yeah, so they end up kissing, whatever.
Yeah.
And Landon's like, I was embarrassed. I thought I was uncool because I talked to my grandparents. And Massie's like, I'm embarrassed because I kissed you in front of them, and they're fine again.
And then he's like, but I like you. And so again, Elena's just cool that Massie's like constantly like leaving him on red and all that shit.
And he says her overalls are cute, which I was like, maybe this is a humbling moment where Massie's like, I don't have to be so vain.
See, I took this as let a man define your worth. Because, like, now that Massie's kissed this boy and he's told her a compliment, her entire outlook has changed.
And you would think so, but nope, the next day she is back to being a bitch. She has made her own overalls, which actually kind of sounded really cool.
Yeah, they did sound really cool. Yeah, everything just got fixed, and I was like, this is weird. Like, no, this wouldn't happen.
No one is... for Claire's Peace Brigade anymore. This girl who Massie would call Aljaboob gave up being good at math, so she's tanking her GPA and she's back to being bad at math.
Yeah, it's just like, again, very weird to be like, oh, this entire movement started, and now that Massie's there, they're just all not gonna do it.
And Claire's mad, but she ends the chapter by saying that it's inspiring to see people mill about Massie and do whatever she wants, which is... I don't know why that would be something that her character would choose to say. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. But then, as we get near to the end of the book, the big climax here.
Yeah.
Followed by a very quick falling action and resolution. Massie's parents come back, and they sit her down, and they go, Massie, we weren't actually in the Bahamas. And she's like... Okay, and they're like, we were in the Hamptons trying to get the vacation house ready to sell, and she's like, oh, are we getting a different one? And they go, no, Massie, the market's taken a hit recently.
Yep.
And they've lost all their money. Which means they've put most of, if not all of their money in the stock market, which is like, no, don't do that.
You know what sucks is I think if Lacey had capitalized on this plotline earlier, she could have sold more books, because this would have been like actually interesting.
If this happened in like book 6 and like the rest of the series was Massie kind of dealing with being in a rich world as a person whose parents has lost like all of their money, that would have been captivating.
That would have been so much better.
But no, we get to watch Massie.
We get that plotline that we should have gotten 6 books earlier, right before the last book. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I do not know what's going to happen this last book.
And the last book is like just as short as this one. It's like maybe 200 pages.
Yeah.
How the fuck are you going to fit everything you should have fit into 5 books in 1 book?
Could you imagine if they're like, we struck gold in the backyard and we're all rich again?
I would. I'd be like, yep,
this is what happens in the Clique world. God.
And, oh, Jesus. Claire, bless her heart, goes over to try to comfort her. She's like, hey, it's not that bad.
She's like, we can be friends again. I think this is like a good thing for us to like pull together, and like we can like shop sale racks together. It's gonna be so cool. And she goes to Massie's, and Massie's not having it.
Massie is just like, I'm not watching Gossip Girl with you. Get out. And Claire is discouraged. She's like, why the fuck would I stay around with this person?
Yep. And then we are at the Slice of Heaven pizza shop, which we visited a few times in this series. And this is finally the time where we mentioned that the 9th grade crushes still exist, because I've been confused the entire time what's been going on with that.
I guess.
So that was such a plot line for so long that now it's just mentioned briefly in one sentence and the other boys were here too.
Yes. And Claire and Todd are coming to pick up pizza probably for a family night.
And Massie's worried that, like, Kristen's going to be able to, like, tell that she's poor now because Massie says maybe it's a we can smell our own type thing.
Insane.
It's insane. Absolutely insane.
And Todd marches over and is, like, not excited that Massie is poor, but he's, like, saying things that are very not socially aware, like, I'm going to get all your stuff, I can't wait. And Massie's like, well, this is where Claire can really hit it home, tell everyone that I'm poor, and Claire just comes over and, like, gaslights her brother. She's like, you're being crazy.
Todd's been playing way too much World of Warcraft, guys. I don't even know what he's talking about. So, like, Claire covers for Massie and says, like, Todd's just being insane. And
they make amends because of that.
Yep.
And that's the end
the end of My Little Phony.
Yep. They set up for an entire series to get resolved in one book that, again, should have
a really big plot point, but you know what? We'll just end the series after that.
Yeah, luckily, Lacey made our job easy with the top 5 this book because Massie Block had her own top 5, and that is on page 51, and it's a list that we will dive into.
Yeah, this is Massie's list of the hottest, most important lip kisses of all time.
Yes. I agree with
some of these.
The first one is the Miss Kiss, which was the Spider-Man kiss where Kirsten Dunst and Tobey Maguire kiss in the rain when he's upside down. Hot one.
Yep, and then the Risk Kiss is when Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson, she risks her life to kiss a vampire, is how Massie describes it. I remember that kiss, and I never thought it was anything that special.
No, I didn't either.
Yeah.
I don't really remember too much. That was like I kind of blacked out that movie. The Diz Kiss, which is an MTV Video Music Awards, I thought this was the Notebook kiss shared between them on stage.
That one's iconic.
That one's really hot. But apparently this one was between Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart, and he spit his gum out, and at the last minute Kristen pulls away.
Yeah, so they like, it's a Diz Kiss because, like, I remember watching it when I was in 8th grade, watching the MTV Movie Awards, and they, like, built up this whole kiss because it was, like, rumored that they might be dating. Oh. And then she, like, turned her head away and she just went, thanks for the award.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it was weird. So again, I wouldn't put it on the list, but I would put the MTV Movie Award where Rachel McAdams and Ryan Gosling won Best Kiss for The Notebook.
So good.
And they both went up different sides of the stage, and then they just did, like, a running leap into each other.
It was so cute.
And it was so fucking cute.
This is how we should have known that Massie is gay, because this is something a gay person would
like. Kisses are Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart. And one of those people is gay, yeah.
Okay, so the Aqua Bliss kiss was The Notebook, Rachel McAdams and
the
Ryan
Kissing
Gosling.
in the Rain kiss, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then the last one, I haven't watched enough Gossip Girl to know what this is referring to. It's called The Hiss Kiss, and it's from season 2 of Gossip Girl, where Serena kisses Nate at a party to make his cougar girlfriend jealous, and then she wrote meow next to that. And again, I don't know that kiss very well.
I remember watching season 2. I couldn't tell you.
Nah, this sounds forgettable, and like another one would be better placed there.
I know.
Yeah.
And lastly, to cap off every episode, we have our State of the Unions, our ins and our outs of the book. And do you want to start?
I am going to start with our first out, Meggie. I've said it before, and I will say it again. Don't put all your money in the stock market.
Absolutely not.
Stupid. Always have, you can put a lot of money in the stock market, great, but always make sure you have enough money to live outside of that.
Especially these people who have the means to do that.
Exactly. Like, they have so much money, and you're telling me they put literally everything in the stock market? We also don't know if he's lost his job.
Yeah.
But I think he still has it because him and Jay, Claire's dad, work together. Yeah. Again, a lot of things in this book, as I said, are not fully explained. Mm-hmm. But the end for that is going to be smart with your investing. There's a lot of things to invest in outside the stocks. IRAs, Roth IRAs, retirement funds. You could get a financial planner, which they should have.
Exactly.
If they have this much money. So that's my big lesson for our listeners, that it's, one, never too early to start investing, but also don't invest everything you have.
So our next one on the outs and the ins. Out, pretty simple, straightforward. We always have this. Insulting your friends. Don't do it. But on the flip side of that, if you are going to insult your friends, have tasteful dunks.
Honestly, yeah, lines, everybody has a line in the sand. And, it's like some things are just things you don't joke about with people. But there's plenty of things you do joke about with people. And then you all laugh. And that's how that works.
Exactly. Couldn't disagree more.
Support your friends.
Yep.
And dunk on them when necessary. But tastefully.
Yeah. Exactly.
Our last out is going to just be, or I'll start with the end. Big end's going to be read the room. Read the room. Just really go into a room and read it. Or just perceive what's going on. Massie, I feel like, has done this so many times. The biggest out is going to be when Massie did not read the room and kissed Landon on a webcam in front of his grandparents. Another out is when all of her friends showed up and then she just kind of just jabbed at them, forcing them to leave. And it's like, Massie could have really read the room and avoided that.
Or when she showed up in a ball gown to the Puppapalooza.
Read the room.
Massie, come on, girl.
Oh, well, wow, that was it for My Little Phony, book 13 in the Clique book. Make sure you guys are following us at Meggie and Laura on pretty much all social medias. Please, if you're listening to this podcast, wherever you're listening to it, Spotify, iTunes, rate, follow us, like us, give us 5 stars. We love when we get 5 stars. It's all our favorite thing of all time.
Yeah,
it is our absolutely favorite thing of all time.
Yes.
We appreciate you guys listening to us. We'll be back in 2 weeks with our finale to season 1, which is, I don't even remember. Oh, it's called A Tale of Two Pretties. That's what the final book is called.
Oh my god.
We're doing it.
I can't believe it.
Oh my gosh.
And then we have a great
and then we're gonna
slam dunk season 2.
We're getting ready for season 2, and we're happy that you guys have been listening to us. So we'll see you next time.
Yeah, bye.